If you've ever thought, I want to be my own boss, but you have no idea how, this episode is the permission slip, push, and playbook you've been needing to start. I'm here with my friend Mallory Rowan, and we both were sitting at jobs we hated, daydreaming of quitting, but had no roadmap in sight. So this episode is covering all of the real talk on starting your own business from scratch, why entrepreneurship was our ticket to financial freedom, and the launch pad that we've built to help you do the same. Hello, Mal.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too.
Okay, so talk to me about where you were at prior to being a business owner. What was life like for you?
So I knew I was really ambitious early on. So I was working full-time corporate during school. So I was balancing school, working a marketing job that was in the high-tech space, kind of moved into the startup world. So I was like starting to, move myself closer to entrepreneurship, but still ultimately a little bit afraid of it.
What about life did not feel fulfilling? Like, what kept you thinking, maybe this is all there is? Like, how do I get out of this?
Honestly, I think for me, it was that I had always been intrigued about personal finance and just the math wasn't mathing for me with most 9-to-5 scenarios.
Yeah.
And so it honestly just came down to the math of it, of seeing, okay, well, maybe it's going to be a risk that I'm taking, but if I don't start building something, I don't see how I'm going to make the numbers work for the kind of life that I want to live.
Yeah. I think that is a realization that a lot of people have, but entrepreneurship is not necessarily the thing they think of. So if like you're in debt, you are trying to save your first 100K, like that was my scenario of like, okay, how do I save my first 100K before I turn 26?
Yeah.
And I was negotiating my salary. I was paying off my debt. I was investing. I was doing all of the financially smart things.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest thing that got me to that goal and every financial goal after that was being a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. I know people say you can only save so much, you can only budget so much. And I think to the same point, yes, there's so much great advice now about how to get promotions, how to get a raise.
Yep.
But I ultimately feel like entrepreneurship actually puts you in the driver's seat more than ever before.
I know we'll talk about this more as the episode goes on, but I think for so many people, I mean, our parents both taught us, oh, you get the stable job, you get you're Canadian. For me, it's you get the health insurance, you get the 401k.
Well, still the health insurance.
Yeah. But it's like you get the 2-week paycheck and like that's the American dream, or that's what you do.
Yeah.
And that was so unfulfilling for both of us.
Yeah. And I also think the pandemic was kind of the thing for our generation that showed a lot of people that this promise of stability, I feel like that's when it started to get shaky for a lot of people of, hang on, I actually thought I took the stable route and all of a sudden it feels like the rug's being pulled out from under me. Whereas at that point, already being self-employed, I felt, again, a lot more in the driver's seat and like I could say, okay, well, things are changing everywhere, but I can look more at my own picture and decide how I'm going to adapt and change and feel more in control of that and in control of my financial future.
We talk a lot on the show about how, you can control what you control and then you work to change everything else at the systemic level. And I think that for most women listening, we all have control issues. So it's like, this is actually a great way to have more control over a very uncontrollable scenario between like layoffs and getting fired or just having your job change.
And I like to have fun. So I'm like, if I
like to enjoy my life.
If I can have fun doing my work and that means that I'm not...
feel like you're making an impact.
I think that's such an important piece too. It's like, okay, maybe you do have a job that you enjoy, but for me, it was just seeing both the financial opportunity and just that really opportunity to go after a dream and be like, I think there is a version of life where you get to enjoy every day. You're not sitting in a cubicle and air conditioning in the summer. That was a big thing for me as like a university student at the time. I was just like, again, for me, the math wasn't mathing of like, it's a beautiful day out and I have to sit in this specific seat with these fake walls around me for what?
That was me where it was like, am I doing this for the next 40 years?
Yeah.
Like, it felt like Groundhog Day. Like, am I doing this for the next 40 years? Like making men I don't respect rich and begging for PTO and
navigating office politics that you want no part of.
And I'm getting like weird misogynistic things said to me at work. And I'm like, I don't like this. Is this what I have to do for 35 years? Okay, so somebody's listening at home and they're like, this sounds great, Tor and Mel, but how do I actually do this? So when we talk about both in so many conversations we've had privately and publicly, people getting stuck.
Yeah.
Like the first narrative I think is like, okay, but I don't know enough. Like Tori and Mallory know something about running a business that I don't know. Even if that's not like a conscious thought, it's like, okay, I don't know enough about running a business.
Yeah. I think like there's certain aspects of life where we put so much pressure on ourselves and we don't realize that we don't really apply that pressure the same way in other instances. So for me, that would be like going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Usually when you go to the gym, you start with the basics of like, okay, am I comfortable going to the gym to do, there's usually a tour or something, right?
Yeah.
You're like, can I go get some information, right? You start there. You're not like, do I know how to use every single machine in 3 different ways? Yeah. Do I know how to squat 300 pounds? That's not the expectation you put on yourself going to the gym. If you were deciding you want to start cooking or a new hobby, knitting, you don't say, could I knit an entire blanket and scarf right now, right? So I think with business, we just put a lot of our identity into it too. And sometimes it can feel really scary and it feels like more of a pass fail than we look at something like the gym. And so I think that's a big part of it is just you have to accept that you're going to learn as you go, just like everything else in life. And that there is literally no world where you know everything before you start because there's no rubric. So I think the biggest thing is you actually don't know what you don't know. So to put that expectation on yourself is a little bit wild.
The problem I had that I know listeners have too is, speaking of control issues, it's like I am trying to anticipate every single problem or have answers to every single question that are going to happen like 5 years from now. So what happens when I have to hire a team? What happens when, I don't know, somebody sues me? I don't know. Like you're making up like the worst case scenario. And it's like, nobody hands you a playbook for entrepreneurship. I mean, we built you one. We'll talk about it. But like no one hands you the playbook. And it's like, you do figure it out. So getting caught up in the like 5 years from now problems, you 5 years from now knows how to handle those.
And actually, you know, we talk about this a lot later of like, you know, what got you here won't get you there. I feel like people are familiar with that. But it's also realizing that means that the steps you have to take right now are actually not the same steps in 5 years. And so those beginning parts are important. With my first business, we had, as you know, a powerlifting apparel company. And one thing we did was we put handwritten postcards in every package, right? And it's one of those things where when you start to do, people go, well, what happens when you have 100,000 orders? We're like, well, we don't. Right.
Which is such an obvious, like, we don't.
And so it means that you can do those things that maybe you don't get the opportunity to do when your business is massive, right? But those are the things that really built our customer base, and people loved those things. So I actually often think it can be an advantage to be on that smaller end where you're like, oh, I can actually do things now that maybe Tori doesn't face as the business owner that she is now.
Yeah. Talk to me about your jail quote because it is always so funny to me.
I say you're further from jail than you think because obviously it makes sense. We all get nervous about how am I supposed to register my business? What kind of bank account do I have to set up?
Do I need a lawyer?
Yeah. How do you file taxes? What are business taxes? There's so many different elements that intimidate people. Yeah. And so I like to say that because it's true. When we put it that way, it feels like, yeah, you know what? You are right. Like it's silly that I'm that worried. But with our first business, we just kept receipts for a year. We were like, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do, but we know you're supposed to have your receipts. And the only consequence really was that we had to sit down and take a chunk of time to go through them. And that is barely a consequence. There was nobody knocking on our door being like, were you every week doing this thing? Like, no. So I think there's those little steps. You just do what you can and you will continue to learn as you go.
Google is free. YouTube is free. It's
and people you know. I guarantee you know somebody with a business or you know somebody who works in accounting. I love to call my accountant friends before I had my own accountant and ask those kind of questions. I still sometimes call them for an opinion.
Yeah. So when we talk about the next quandary or the next concern for people, which is like, I don't have the right idea or even like, I haven't settled on an idea or I have 500 ideas and I don't know how to pick one. I think that one, we're helping with that. We have a free tool and a free challenge that we'll link down below in the description, but like that will literally help you figure out what your best business idea is because that's something that people do get hung up on is like picking the perfect thing.
Yes.
But talk to me about the experience of like picking the right idea.
I mean, there's a photographer quote actually people say often that's like the best camera you have is the one in your hand. And they say that a lot for beginner photographers because you can feel that pressure to have the most expensive one when really the iPhone or the Android will do for now because it's what's going to get you starting to use that photographer eye, right?
Experience.
So, I really think it's similar that way, that in one sense, the best business idea is just one that you can take action on. And that's going to often be the first step, right? We think I have this, business idea, I'm scared and I have to go for it. And again, it's going to be that pass fail, but it's also okay if it's the business idea that gets you to the next thing.
Oh, and I think that's super common. I mean, her first 100K was not a financial education company. Like a lot of people do not realize that. It was like peak Tumblr blog era.
Excellent.
Like 2010s.
Take me back.
I miss Tumblr. Like
we
good old
Tumblr.
It got bought by Yahoo and it just went downhill immediately. But like it was like life of a 20-something woman, right? And I was like following travel bloggers and that's what I thought I wanted my life to look like. So I started running this blog on the side of my 9-to-5. Was it making me any money at that time? No, it was not.
Yeah.
But only by doing that did I realize, every blog post I'm writing has something to do with money. And I am the person all of my friends were coming to talk about money. So for at least a year, I think a good 2 years, I was just running this like very general life of a 20-something blog. And that was not the right idea. But I only realized it wasn't the right idea by fucking doing the thing.
And you learned how to make a blog. You learned how to be a better writer for blogs, right?
I learned how to design on Canva and did it look pretty?
Bought a domain.
I did buy a domain. It was the $40. The first $40 I ever spent was Squarespace domain, Squarespace sign up. That was it.
Yeah. I had a student that was actually a longtime follower, and I knew that she was an aspiring business owner, but she didn't quite have an idea. And so there was a lot of, she would come to some of my workshops, we would chat in the DMs, and it got to the point where it's just like, Jordana, you got to start. You got to do something.
Right. You got to stop talking about it.
You got to do something. And so she started building this kind of home DIY project, Instagram page, knowing that was something she was really enjoying. And once she started that, it really just evolved like her artistic, creative side.
Yeah.
And she ended up, pivoting from there. And she now makes these really incredible dog portraits that she actually makes out of dog hair. So if someone's dog passes, they send in some hair and she makes these beautiful replicas of them. And it's so special.
Gift,
I
know.
know.
It's so nice.
I know. It makes me like emotional just talking about it.
But like, how would you come up with that?
Right. And so for her, it was really, she had so long where she wasn't taking that first step.
Yeah.
And then once she took the first step, it was quickly the second, the third, the fourth. Now I'm on to a new idea and just was no big deal to switch ideas. Whereas she was putting so much weight in that first idea. And now it's a business that she uses to, directly fund particular things in her life and really give her some extra stability that feels really good.
Well, you were mentioning, I think she's like paying off her father's like medical bills, right?
Yeah.
Which that's the kind of financial impact we're talking about too.
Absolutely.
This is going to be a recurring theme I'm understanding. And what you and I are talking about is it's not that serious, dude.
It's not that serious.
It's not that serious. Like
I'm always like, just do it.
Well, it's like you do it. Okay. It didn't work out exactly the way you wanted to, or you learned something new. Again, like I learned, I want to talk about money. And I only learned that by doing it. Like you only learn by doing it. And I think so many people, they work up the business in their heads. They're like, I don't have the logo. I don't have the website. I don't have the perfect idea.
Yeah.
The only way you figure that out is by doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we built our first business to like a globally recognized multi-six-figure business and then walked away because it wasn't in the end the idea we wanted to continue with. And I was extremely burnt out. It's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like that business gave me so many lessons past just we were talking about, the domains, these things. Yeah. I learned how with every launch, what kind of things to add, right? And so when we went to build our next businesses, we were able to do it exponentially faster, exponentially more efficient. And so even though I went from product business to then a real estate team and coaching and services, it's wild how many skills will really get you there faster.
Yeah. I think the third concern people have is like, well, I'm not that kind of person. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not the kind of person that could be an entrepreneur, or I haven't, I'm a nurse or I'm a teacher. What would I do?
Yeah.
And I won't say everything about him to keep his privacy, but like I'm helping my partner launch a business right now. And he is a civilian. He's not on social media. He doesn't post. He is not he's not currently an entrepreneur. And had that same thought. He was like, Tori, I see what entrepreneurship has given you. You know, you're able to take Fridays off to spend with me. You're able to work from anywhere. You're completely financially independent. I kind of want that. How do I do that? Even if I'm not that type of person. And I think that there's so many different entrepreneurs than we see both online, but also that to this point about this example of like, how are you coming up with that idea? It doesn't have to be like the thing you went to school for or like, okay, I'm a nurse. How would I make that a business? It can be related to a skill you have or a skill you want to pursue.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
When we talk about, like, I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
How do we debunk that myth for people?
Yeah. I mean, for myself, I always thought I would be like a really high level exec.
Me too.
At a big company.
Me too.
Yeah. I think that's like the version of success we also grew up with.
Oh yeah. It was like girl boss on the pavement and wearing our little pencil skirts and our coffees and our briefcases. And
dare I say lean in.
Yeah. Lean in really hard and you might just
that's what we might just make it. So I think it is like, you know, I always say business is the biggest like personal development bait and switch where you will learn so much about yourself. And I think that first lesson is that you can be that type of business owner. As you said, it doesn't have to be a specific degree. It doesn't have to be related to your current job.
Neither of us did stuff related to our degree, really.
No, it can be a skill set that you have.
Yep.
It could even be something that you just feel like there's a gap in your industry. For us with our powerlifting brand, we were honestly starting just filling a gap that we felt in the community, and that can be enough.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about that also fear of like, okay, what if I've never sold anything? Again, we're like, it's not that serious, dude. Like, I'm going to keep saying that. It's not that serious. You figure it out.
Yeah, you learn by doing.
What about that fear of like, I've never sold anything. I've never marketed anything. I've never had to like talk to somebody and convince them to buy a thing.
Absolutely. You know what? When you were talking about that theme, another thing that comes to mind for me is like a toddler learning to walk, right? Yeah. When a toddler takes its first steps, baby, I guess probably baby.
Toddler.
Whatever, same thing.
That was Mal's experience. I don't know.
I started walking at 7. No.
She walked last week for the first time. It was so incrable. I was really proud of her. She's running multi-6-figure businesses and just finally took her first steps.
Basically. But like when a baby takes its first steps, right? It takes a few and it falls and we all cheer. And we're like, oh my gosh, it's first steps. We're not like, what a loser that baby fell. Like, how embarrassing.
Fucking loser.
Like it's never going to make it, right? No, we really celebrate those first steps. But I think we have this crazy expectation that we have to nail it on the first time. And I think that's really what we want people to understand more than anything. Also like a scientist or like, what if the people making electricity tried once?
Oh, isn't it Einstein of like, I learned 100 ways not to make a light bulb?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, imagine how embarrassing it would be as a scientist if you tried an experiment once.
And then you quit.
You changed no factors and you said, well, that didn't work.
Yep.
Right?
And now I quit.
Okay, hilarious, because actually on the sales side, the example I have in mind is a student who used to work in a lab, and I did not do that segue on purpose. But I had this student, and she worked in a lab, like thought that would be everything, got kind of interested in fitness and then in some energy healing spaces, and really wanted to start offering some services to people. Yeah. And so she started with a side hustle with 2 clients and then was able to take it full time. And this was someone that did not come from a sales background, right? And then through their business, they learned how to sell one-on-one things. They learned how to sell group things. They do an in-person retreat, right? It's really those skills that have evolved. But she started with 0 sales base.
Well, she works in a lab. She's not that person. And again, I'm putting that in quotes, but she went for it.
Yeah. And I think too, when you have a passion for what you're doing, sales can feel big and scary in general, but that passion can really come through, because if somebody's coming to me, let's say I'm a personal trainer, right? And you're coming to me for help. If I am so passionate about fitness, normally that's the thing you can like nerd out on so much. So if you were telling me, hey, these are the problems I'm facing, I can probably go straight into nerd mode and be like, oh yeah, like I know all the ways to fix it. I'm so excited about helping you. And you're actually really naturally selling. It's just when we put that label of making sales, it can feel really scary.
It's kind of like networking. Networking is just talking to people.
Yeah.
But as soon as you call it networking, it's again like pencil skirts and like a suit and tie and you're like at round tables trying to figure out how to talk to people.
Exactly. You have a name tag on immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm scared I'm going to fail. Yeah. That's the one I hear all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, what if my friends from high school see me trying to be an influencer or like trying to be a business owner and they laugh at me?
Yeah.
First of all, get new friends. Second, like, what if this doesn't work out and I've gone all in and I feel like a failure?
Mm-hmm. I think it's like, if you looked at something like a relationship, right? We often like, we're in it in the moment and we can see these things developing, right? It's like when you start dating someone, you could tell if it's working or not. Yeah. But I think with this idea of business, we think there's almost like an invisible timeline where you like do it for a year and it works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, it's exploded your entire life.
Yes. And also that you must marry the first person you ever went on a date with. And that is your life partner for the next 50 years.
Yeah. And I think when you can let go of that and just say, I'm open to like this changing, however it might change, then your idea of failure really starts to shift. Like, you know, if I had a question that's like, oh, you know what people love to ask? Like, is there anything you'd change or do you regret anything? Or like, what's your biggest failure? Like, I actually can't think of a thing. And it's not that I haven't made mistakes. It's just you stop categorizing it that way because it was actually just a piece of information. It's a data point that you collected and then you learned from it. The same way if a launch goes really well, you collect those data points. If the business isn't working, you're collecting those data points. And for me, I look at it as if, you know, two people just both had business ideas. One spent the next year going for it. Yep. The other one kept their notebook and just wrote the ideas over and over and brainstormed. The one who really went for it and just started taking that messy action is going to have collected so many data points that now they can make such educated decisions. They probably have started making money. Whereas the other person might go, okay, I've done all my research for a year. I'm ready to start. They might be a week into their business and then go, oh, actually, this is all different and playing out differently than the research told me it would.
Time is going to pass anyway. Mm-hmm. It's like you can either be 5 years older and have this business that's successful, which is option number one, or went for it. And maybe it didn't work out. Yeah. Like, I'm scared I might fail. You might. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make you a failure. That's not an identity. Yeah. That's an incident that happened.
And I think you also get to decide what type of business you want to run and build for yourself. And I don't think that part is as loud in a lot of these conversations. We see things like the sale of Poppy, right?
Sure.
And we see these big billion-dollar sales stories. And so people can get really intimidated by that. But if you look around you, there's way more people who are self-employed than you realize that have maybe decided to make $75K but be working for themselves or make $100K or $150. And so I think also knowing like you can pick whatever type of business you want
and scale it at whatever pace you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think with that 5 years example too, again, like the outcome's either I have a really successful business because I went for it in 5 years. I don't. But I went for it and I learned a lot and I'm really glad I did so I don't have that regret. Or I'm sitting 5 years later and still wondering, oh, maybe I could be a business owner someday.
Yeah. And sometimes you learn that maybe it's not for you, but you learned all of these skills that then allow you to go get a different job that you would really love.
And I think the other thing of that like failure again is it's like the fear of looking cringe or stupid.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I do all the time. Like I look back at my TikToks in 2020 and I'm like doing the dances and I'm like, oh boy, wow. Now, did it make me like $250,000 in a month? Yeah, it did. So I can't be that upset about it. But it's like, I look back at my old website, the graphics I used to make that I thought were good. And I'm like, oh God, this looks awful. I only realized that because I did it.
Yeah. I mean, people tell me somebody who doesn't look back at their life and cringe in other ways, right?
But aren't you glad you went for it?
Exactly. People cringe at the person they dated, the clothes they wore, right? Like that is just part of being human. It's that you're evolving.
It's a Gambino quote too that he just came out. He was like, I think the price of being successful is being cringy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've experienced this a lot after my first business too, where like the people that maybe were making the sideline comments are not necessarily supportive. All of a sudden it's the, hey girl DM.
Oh, absolutely.
And, I was just, I have this business idea. I was wondering if I could pick your brain because you've been so successful in it. Right. And so I think it's such wasted energy if I had spent all that time thinking about that person and like having them hold me back when ironically just going for it actually meant those people were going to turn around and change their mind.
Yeah. And I think if we talk so much about this on the show about if you are living your life to make other people comfortable at the expense of your own joy or your own comfort, like, is that a life you want to live?
There's actually a really great trend I've been seeing where it's something like, it's like so-and-so said you're so cringe or so-and-so said you're so annoying online. And then it's like, oh, great. They didn't say I was mean. They didn't say I was a bad person. It's like, if all that I am is cringe, that's pretty good.
Well, and again, it's like, it's the cringy.
Yeah.
You only feel cringy because you're seeing somebody go for their dreams.
Yeah. Also,
and you're not.
Life is kind of cringy. I give myself the ick all the time.
Yeah. Well, it was what happened. Anytime I can weave in Timothée Chalamet, I'm going to take it. But he won the SAG award for his Bob Dylan movie. And he did this great speech where he was like, I want to be great.
Yes.
Like he said in the speech, he's like, I want to be one of the greats. And there was a certain subset of the internet that was like, oh, you're so pompous. You're so full of yourself. And the other part was like, why wouldn't you want to be great?
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you want to say that? Now, greatness can be winning Oscars and doing all of that. Greatness can just be, you know what? I have enough time to go to school pickup every single day. Like I have built myself a certain life where I can do all of the things I want to do.
Yeah.
And I never have to say yes when I don't want to. And I never have to say no when I don't want to.
Yeah. It's not embarrassing to take the steps required to get the life you want. I think a lot of people probably look up to you and they don't look at the things you did as cringe. They look at where you are and go, wow, how did she do that?
And it was cringy.
By being cringe.
It was just, and again, I'm glad I look back though and it's a little cringy because it means I've grown. It means I've actually learned.
Exactly.
And again, the only way you learn, the only way you figure this out, if you think you want to be an entrepreneur, the only way you know for sure is by doing it and then going, yeah, that felt good. Or I'm going to tweak this one thing and see if it feels better. Or actually, this is not for me at all.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you rather know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Brief here. I don't have the followers, right? What? I have to be on camera. I have to do social media. I don't want to be an influencer. Like, what can you do if you want to build a kind of business where you don't have to show up online?
Yeah, I think we see so much on social and we see that entrepreneurship journey online, but a lot of businesses are not built online.
Right. The reason you're listening to this podcast is that you saw me or Mal on Instagram or TikTok or something. And like, that is one path, 100%.
Yeah. And I think there's versions of showing up online. I had a student that was a mortgage broker and she wasn't even that comfortable with feed content. She's a little bit older. It was just a really big learning curve. And so she started just doing Instagram stories and she was doing mortgage Q&As and she was getting, she had less than probably 1,200 followers to start and she was getting clients through that. And that was her version of showing up. And by getting more clients and then also using her offline channel, she was able to then build a team. And then you can have different people in the team too that maybe do like to do those kind of things.
Yeah.
But it actually allowed her to get out of a lot of the doing in her business because finding that way of showing up instead of just not showing up at all meant that then she could grow, she could add to her team, she could really change her role in her business, especially as a mom, right? Being able to take that mat leave as a self-employed person and take more time to be with her kids.
Well, and what you just said, which is 1,200 followers and she's making decent money. I mean, my partner is not posting on social media at all. He's about to land his first client at $2,500 and like did not post on social media once.
Yeah.
Has a website that we built over the weekend. Like, you don't need 1 million followers.
And like, I kind of feel like the hard truth sometimes is like, sometimes there's just elements of doing anything that you want that where you have to work through and you're like, this is intimidating me or this is a little uncomfy at first. And
what can I give an example? Like, what was your example of that? Because I do feel like sometimes you just got to suck it up, buttercup, and do it.
Oh, one that I said to you?
Or one that you feel. I can give you one while you think.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I feel like people don't realize social media for a lot of business owners or even content creators. People go through these waves of saying,
oh, I said to you yesterday.
Yeah.
I literally said we were walking
a lot
beach
of us
yesterday,
are in this phase.
and I was like, I don't want to post on Instagram, but I know I need to.
Yeah.
And I like don't have any ideas. But it's like,
there's so many massive creators and business owners in my life right now that have such with social media. And at the same time, it's like if you asked us all if we were walking away, it's like, no.
Right.
I just want to have my little temper tantrum. And it's okay to do that. And
I
then
think
just
numbers
work
are
through
one that people hear a lot of, like, I just want to be a creative business owner. I don't want to worry about making money. And I'm like, you cannot run the creative business you want to run.
Yeah.
Unless you know where the money's coming from.
Yeah. And
Unless
something
you know
we
your
talk a lot about is different content categories, that you don't always have to be making content that's designed to become a massive influencer. You can actually lean into certain content categories that will just help build a really strong trust with your existing community. And you would be surprised how many conversions. I had actually a different mortgage broker, similarly had 1,400 followers. We started posting a little bit differently on her account, and she got a lead every time she would post.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Insane, right? But it's because people connected with her and they got to know her. And sometimes it's even just that reminder, like, oh yeah, that person is a mortgage broker because they're popping up in my feed, right?
Okay. So for everybody listening, again, we have a free resource that we can direct you to. It is actually so impactful. I'm not going to bullshit everybody and be like, go sign up for this. But it's like step by step going to help you figure out what your idea should be.
Yeah.
Get you out of your own head, actually get you started. Okay, so before we talk about specifically how entrepreneurship changed our lives, let's focus on some of the themes, because all of these, you know, I don't feel ready, I don't have an idea. These all come back to one, it's not that serious, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that serious. This is not life or death.
Yeah.
Again, just like any other hobby, you can pick it up. You can figure out how good you want to be at it.
Yeah.
You can say, actually, this isn't for me. I don't like knitting. I like crocheting. Cool. You're going to pivot your business. Great. I think it's also the perfectionism mindset, which is I have to do it perfectly or not at all. I've said it many times on this show. Liz Gilbert has a quote that I live by, which is perfectionism is fear in stilettos. It is fear. It's fear looking stupid, fear that you're failing, fear that somebody's going to make fun of you, fear that maybe you don't know enough.
Yep.
And then I think comparison and overwhelm are also in this too, which is like, you are comparing yourself to maybe Mallory, to people you see online.
Oh my gosh, we still do it ourselves.
Yeah, we still do. But like, how many years in business are you? When did you start your first business?
10 years ago, almost 11.
Yep. And I'm 9, almost 10 years ago. So if you're comparing yourself as a newbie business owner or as somebody who wants to be a business owner, hopefully you're using Mal and I as inspiration, but not comparison. We know a lot more.
Yeah.
We've been at this a lot longer.
Could do a whole episode on all the mistakes we've ever made.
Truly. And like, I look up to business owners who are 10 years ahead of me, or who, you know, I think, oh, that's a really interesting way of running her business that I wouldn't have thought about. So use comparison as inspiration, not as this is the reason I can't do it, is they know something I don't know. We probably do. We know a lot that you don't know.
Because we went for it.
Because we did it. And then I think that overwhelm piece too of like, I need the brand, I need the website, I need the logo, I need, like, what would I even talk about?
And I think starting is the fastest way to squash that overwhelm. Because if you just decide I'm starting with the website, then your brain is just going to be on the website, right?
Yep.
It's like all those other things start to go away. If I'm just going to start by running a social media account. You know, I had another student that wanted to start coaching and was so overwhelmed by the tech side of things. And so we launched just with her Instagram profile, like no sales page, no nothing. She was able to fill her group program and even have a wait list.
I launched my partners. We launched it with literally just a like long landing page.
Yeah.
We don't have an about page. We don't have like a contact form. It's just like,
yeah, you don't need much.
Used a Squarespace template and called it good.
And I think the other thing I like to point out is it's almost like a bit of being bit by a bug of like, if entrepreneurship has always been on your brain, and even if you can't land on that idea, I think like if it's something that intrigues you, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those, like, not everybody has those dreams. And so if it is in you, I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go for it and see if you like it.
Talk to me about why ready is not a feeling.
We saw a great quote the other day that's like, ready is not a feeling, it's a decision.
the like, I don't feel ready. That's not an emotion. Anger's an emotion. Sadness is an emotion. Ready is not an emotion.
Like imagine Inside Out. And then
there's
a
a
little
ready
character called Ready.
She's like, I'm either ready or I'm not.
In the back corner, she just presses a button.
Like. That's literally what we're talking about, though, is it's like, you can tell me, and I'm going to give you tough love. You can tell me I don't feel ready. You will never, ever, ever feel ready.
Yeah, I don't feel ready.
I don't feel ready either. I didn't feel ready. I still don't feel ready sometimes. And again, this is where it's like, you're getting caught up in trying to answer questions that are 5 years from now questions.
Well, and what, we keep talking about how we keep feeling these feelings. And I think that's a big theme of a lot of these things that might hold you back at the start of the business are actually challenges you continue to face. So by taking that decision to work through them the first time, that does make you an entrepreneur. That does put you in the right mindset to be a business owner. And it's a really important skill set, and you're going to get better and better at it. There's always going to be things that feel scary. I'm sure when you signed, I was like, wait, you're a bad example. Maybe for this, I was going to say your book deal, you might be scared, right? Of,
it was very
what
scary.
If this fails? What if I'm not the person?
It was more when the book came out. It was like, what if I've put all of this time and energy into something and no one likes it?
Yeah.
Or people read it and they're like, actually, that wasn't very good.
Yeah. So you're going to keep going through those feelings at every stage.
Yeah.
Right.
Launch the podcast. What if nobody listens? What if...
Yeah. It's like good news and bad news, right?
Yeah.
This isn't the first time you're going to feel that way. But if you can start exercising that muscle of just taking action to work through it. I'm a big fan of just like put 3 things on a to-do list, circle the first one, and like that's how you're going to work through those feelings.
And overcoming the analysis paralysis. It's such a good point, Mal, because everything we just talked about, again, I don't feel ready. I don't have the right idea. Like, I've never sold anything. I'm not that kind of person. Like, you are going to encounter, as somebody who's, both of us have been in this for a decade, you are going to encounter those feelings every time you do something new in the business.
Yeah.
Like, I've never managed a profit and loss spreadsheet. I don't know how to do this. Okay. I've never launched a book.
Yeah.
I've never launched a podcast.
But again, tell me you don't feel that way in life. There's
all the
a
time.
New recipe. You're like, I've never done this before.
I've never gotten married before. I've never gotten divorced before.
Yeah.
I've never gotten remarried before. Like,
exactly.
All of these things I've never had children before. I've never gotten a dog before.
Yeah. There's just something about this career element that I think people end up really holding themselves back because they're so scared of the idea of failing around that.
Right. Because it's caught up in our identity. If I fail at this, I am a failure. It's not an incident that happened. It's an identity. I am a failure.
Yeah.
And you're not.
You're not.
It's all right to go for things. And if they were, again, like, what's truly the worst that can happen? I know we're asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
When
you end up where you started.
That's the worst thing that can happen.
But what's the best?
What's the best? Okay. So we can talk all we want about building a business and being business owners, but let's give some concrete ways that our life got better when we became entrepreneurs.
Yeah. I mean, not to be kind of a dick about it, but I can wake up whenever I want.
Yes.
I think there's the day-to-day ways that are really nice. And I think especially for people with like neurodivergent folks, people with disabilities, there's so many aspects that I find are underlooked for entrepreneurship.
Parents
for me,
or caregivers.
Sensory overload. Like there's so much in my life that I find in the day-to-day. It's like I can choose to work in a setting that feels good for me.
Yep.
I can choose to make the hours. I can choose to wake up one morning and say, I thought today was going to be super productive. And actually, I just need to watch TV and go for a walk and change up the pace, right? And I think that in itself, for me in the day-to-day, has really been life-changing, especially as a woman. I could talk about menstrual cycles all day, but waking up in a certain part of your cycle and being able to make your schedule based on that or make accommodations. And so I think day-to-day accommodations is huge. And then for me, it's about collecting memory dividends. That's something that Bill Perkins talks about a lot in Die with Zero. We talk about like dividends from investing, but thinking of memory dividends of I almost picture them like Super Mario, as Tori would prefer me to say, the coins and that. Like I think of collecting the coins of when I look at all of the life experiences entrepreneurship has brought me. I've been to Mexico to tour properties, right? I've got to meet the author of one of my favorite books and like hung out with them and now have a close friendship with. I've done more trips than I can count. And it's all because of that.
Yeah. the thing that, as your resident financial expert, I have to tell you, you can do all of the financially responsible things. We were mentioning this up top.
Mm-hmm.
You can negotiate your salary every time. I talk about that a lot. You can pay off your debt. Have many episodes about how to do that. You can save money. You can save your emergency fund or save to buy a house. You can buy property if you are financially able to do so. You can do all of the right financial things and still not make enough money to live. And that is 100% a systemic issue.
Yeah.
And also, my not so conspiracy theory is we are taught, especially as minority groups, as women, people of color, LGBTQ, like you are taught to have a certain path in your career and in your life that's very linear. And my suspicion is that path is taught to keep you underpaid, overworked, and not really loving your life. And there's a reason I went from 100K net worth at 25 to less than 2 years later at 27 years old being a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
I invested, I did all the right things. That got me to my first 100K.
Yeah.
The reason that we went from 100K to multi-millions in less than 2 years is single-handedly because of entrepreneurship. There is no other reason.
Oh, absolutely. Even my first business, I didn't start investing until after that first business. I had learned so many lessons, finally learned more about money. And then with my next business, I was able to look more, even further through that personal finance lens. I feel like business one, I knew like, okay, entrepreneurship is a path for personal finance.
Right.
And then business two, I got to really zero in on that. And then in less than 5 years, I went from not investing to $1 million net worth before 30, right?
Yep.
So, and that is what fuels a lot of the things I was talking about, of being able to then wake up and have that day-to-day freedom to be able to create those memory dividends, to, you know, bail on my work day because my sister needs me to pick up my nephew or things like that.
Or to do like actually impactful work that feels good.
Totally.
There's so many people I talk to who are like, I work at X company that I don't really like working for, but it pays me okay. Or I feel like I can't leave. And my boss is terrible. The work we do makes me feel a little icky.
Yeah.
And when you run a business, not only do you get to work from everywhere and travel and fund your life. Like, again, if you have goals to be debt-free, this is the easiest way to do it. If you have goals of buying a house, if you have goals of saving a certain amount of money, like entrepreneurship is your rocket ship to get you there.
Yeah.
And also, you get to do work that actually feels like you're making a difference. Like, both of us meet people every single day who come up to us in public now who say, your work changed my life.
Yeah.
I was never, ever going to have that experience working a 9-to-5 job.
No.
I
think people get so scared of the income dip that you might take at first if you're like, oh, well, I'm on path for this in my business, so I have to sacrifice the salary to go after my dreams to have that impact. But actually what you'll realize, as we both have with entrepreneurship, is that there actually is a world where you have both. You are going to make more money than at your corporate job, and you are going to have the impact.
Yeah. And again, we're not looking at entrepreneurship through rose-colored goggles. There are plenty of businesses that don't work out.
Yep.
But again, wouldn't you rather have gone for it? So, you know, I've talked about my net worth. I've talked about, you know, the flexibility of taking Fridays off to be with my partner. I'm about to do 6 weeks in Europe, not working at all, to do a cooking intensive in Italy that I'm just so excited about, and literally like worked through with my therapist, where she's like, hey, you've worked really hard to build this business. Like, let's have something to show for it. Let's go do something fun. And she's like, what would you do? And I was like, cooking intensive in Italy. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And like immediately I was just like, this sounds incredible. And like, I get to do that not when I'm 68 and retired. Yep. I get to do it at 31.
Yep. That's how I feel about our cottage.
Yeah. Yeah. So you bought a cottage.
Yeah. Because we were like, I would rather have it in our 30s to have all of these memories and experiences with our friends and family now, and not wait until we're 60 and retired. A lot of our neighbors on the lake, right? They're there in their retirement, and it's lovely, but they're restricted.
It's gonna make me cry. I have friends who didn't make it to 30. I'm sure I'm gonna have friends who didn't make it to 40. Like, don't wait to live a life that feels good. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to like put in 40 years to earn it. And like everything we're talking about, none of this happened from a paycheck.
No.
None of this happened from a paycheck. The ability to do work we care about, the ability to take care of our families and the people we love most, the ability to donate a lot of money. Like that's where I'm at, is like I'm donating so much money to causes that I really love.
Yeah.
Buying property, doing all the things we want to do. That happened from entrepreneurship.
So what if somebody's like, okay, I'm in, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I have 1,000 ideas floating around and I can never land on one.
Here we go. Okay. So we created this idea challenge for you. It is entirely free. You can sign up down below. It is 72 hours. You're going to have your business idea. Anything else I'm missing?
Nope.
Great.
That's simple.
Great. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's not that serious, bro. Okay, Mal, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Tell me everything about you. And I didn't really give you a proper intro. Tell me everything about you. Plugging. No, but I say this both to her face and behind her back, that she is probably the most brilliant marketer I know, and like is so smart about building her own businesses, but then teaching people how to set up a business, whether it is, I just want to make enough money to live and pick my kids up from school and like do what I want to do, versus like, I want to scale this business because I want to make a massive impact. And so I just love you personally. We're very close friends. And then I also just admire everything you've built. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me everything about you, meaning plug away, my friend.
Okay. It's like, do you want my full life story at the end of
Social
this
security number. I want everything.
You can pretty much find me at Mallory Rowan everywhere. Instagram is my main platform. My website's malloryrowan.com. If you're looking for business coaching or anything like that, happy to have a conversation in the DMs or shoot me an email.
And we're launching something really exciting called the Business Bootcamp. We've done it before in the past, but we've renovated it now for 2025. And that free idea generator is a great place to get started. So you can come into Business Bootcamp with that idea. So again, head on to the link down below. We will see you there. Thank you for being here, Mel.
Thanks.